Once again, owner of DPL Surveillance Equipment. By the way, we're a full service surveillance and security equipment company. And before I get into that, I just want to let you know I'm doing my morning chores as I always do. I got to warn you guys in advance because I'm going to be sounding like I'm out of breath. You're going to hear some strange noises in the background. I just do a number of different things in the mornings. And I'm probably going to be ignoring phone calls. So for those of you who are trying to reach me, you probably want to wait for about an hour or go to the website and just place your order there or something. This particular, I'm owner of DPL Surveillance Equipment. We're a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support. The largest inventory of items that not only you can buy, but you can rent or layaway as well. Completely revamped website, lots of new products, very easy to navigate, very easy to use on your mobile phone, optimized for mobile and all of that. Okay? So what else? We do accept Bitcoin. We'll probably, just a little bit inside information, we'll probably transition from credit cards and such and just work exclusively with cash-like instruments, like Bitcoin, like wire transfers, like checks and money orders. I'm completely fed up with the current credit card industry that includes MasterCard and Visa and American Express. The chargebacks and the issues dealing with those institutions meddling in my business, overriding my terms and conditions, giving customers the impression that they can just abuse their credit card privileges. All of that has come to a head pretty much, so I'm convinced that that's not the way to go. That's not the way of the future for me. And anyway, we're pulling back from that. So eventually, there won't be any credit cards accepted on my website. There will be Bitcoin, for instance, checks, money orders, wire transfers, things that cannot be reversed. Okay, that just doesn't work out for me very well with credit cards and such. So anyway, just a little heads up there. Now this particular session, I decided to do this session mainly because, Donald Trump came out this morning, and he's talking about the GDP figures, the GDP numbers. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. Donald Trump and Mike Pence and Larry Kudlow, I think, came out. They're all trying to impress us with these numbers that seem to indicate the economy is booming. Now, I'm kind of old-fashioned, only because if the economy is booming, then that means my phones should be ringing, right? They should be ringing off the hook. The orders coming from my website should be flowing in at a consistent pace. And when I talk to my competitors or partners, they should be telling me the same things, right? They should be telling me about how good they're doing, not how bad they're doing. So, in the reality that we have to live in, we're experiencing a situation where things are not anywhere near where they should be. Customers are cutting back, even on small purchases. On my website, you have to actually spend a good amount of money for my type of products, only because my time is valuable and I'm available around the clock, and our products, the warranties and the guarantees don't expire, and I charge a premium for that. But right now, people are so broke, it doesn't even matter. That's not even on their list of priorities as far as having a lifetime guarantee and warranty, let alone whether or not you're available around the clock, weekends and holidays. When you don't have much money or any money at all, that's not even your concern. Your concern is just getting a cheap product and into your hands as soon as possible. So, anyway, that's the reality we're living in. Me, my partners, suppliers, competitors, that's what we're talking about when we have conversations. And then, unfortunately, I have friends, relatives, and associates who should be retired, should be doing better, should have only one job instead of two or three, should be saving money, should be investing money, but that's not happening. So for some strange reason, I don't know what the hell Donald Trump is talking about as far as the GDP numbers. He's indicating, for instance, and we'll go through these, try to go through them in an orderly fashion. Okay, he's talking about tax cuts. The benefits of tax cuts. Now, what does that mean? Okay, when corporate America got their tax cuts, they were actually supposed to take that savings, the tax cuts, take that money and hire more people, build more factories and plants and warehouses, and spend more money on equipment. They call that CapEx spending. It's supposed to go up. CapEx just stands for capital expenditures. CapEx was supposed to go up, and we're supposed to see a lot of building going on and a lot of economic activity associated with the spending of that money. But let me tell you guys what actually happened and what's going to happen even in the future. When corporate America gets a tax cut, even when you allow them to repatriate monies from overseas that they have stashed overseas in these tax haven countries, when they get the money back, they've always been known to buy back stock and increase dividends for shareholders. Okay, for corporate America, it has never been a major decision in terms of what they're going to do. They always do the same thing, and they're going to do the same thing. They buy back stock, and they increase dividends to shareholders because corporate America is loyal to investors, not employees. Okay, employees rank very, very low on the list of priorities, especially when you got billions of dollars that you need to make sure that you get the best return on. And the best return has never been, let's put up new plants and factories, especially in an economic environment where the consumer demand is not there. So you guys, you may want to pay more close attention to the obvious, not what someone's telling you, but what you know to be the case. If your own personal financial situation sucks and you got a retail job at a department store, or you got 2 or 3 jobs where you basically are barely getting by and you don't have enough money left over to save or invest, and you don't have good health care, then you really should not fool yourself into believing that this economic boom that this idiot in Washington, these idiots are talking about, actually translate in such a way that it helps you. That's the bottom line. If you're not being positively affected, then it's all bullshit, okay? It's all fake news. Donald Trump, if you didn't notice, he usually talks about the stock market. Okay, the stock market supposedly was a very good indicator, right? In previous speeches, whenever the stock market goes up, and he tried to time these stupid speeches at the same time as when the stock market and the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ and all of that was going up, right? Well, this time, if you notice, it didn't go up. It wasn't going up. And he didn't bring it up, okay? So it's not so much what they say, but it's what they don't say. And the reason why he didn't bring up the stock market, because it's been selling off dramatically. Investors are kind of to the point right now where they're not quite sure whether or not the stock market is the place to be. And Facebook put a major dent in the technology sector, okay? Facebook is the biggest scam operation in history, and they've been minting money by convincing people that their business model allows them to almost print money by way of their ad business. In other words, when Facebook gets through convincing advertisers that they could reach billions of people through their ad networks and such, everybody was going for it, right? Well, guess what happened? More and more corporations found out that that was bullshit. There was a lot of fake news, fake clicks, bogus numbers, and manipulation on Facebook's end, and investors got wind of it. The SEC got wind of it. The DOJ got wind of it. The FTC got wind of it. And now Facebook is being investigated, and the stock has taken a hit to the tune of 18 to 20% of its market value, which has been lost, which equates to about $100 billion since these data privacy concerns have been raised with Facebook. So be careful in terms of separating reality from the fiction. Okay, the tech sector has been propped up to a major degree by monetary easing, and quantitative easing rather has pumped a lot of printed money into a lot of different sectors. And the technology sector is one of them, whereby corporate America has been borrowing almost free money forever. And they've been doing a lot of things, including propping up their stock values with bogus free money, courtesy of your Federal Reserve. And those chickens are coming home to roost. That's why a lot of money is now leaving from the equity sector, and it was going into the bond markets. But as Bill Gross, formerly from PIMCO, now with Janus Capital out of Newport Beach, as he tried to warn you guys, and you guys should listen to Bill Gross. He's a veteran in the bond market. Bill Gross knows what he's talking about. He's basically warning people that because there's so much sovereign debt out there between corporations and countries. You know, sovereign debt refers to the amount of debt, basically, that countries hold. And right now, sovereign debt is through the roof. Hundreds of trillions of dollars are owed cumulatively by all these countries, with no end in sight as far as how they're going to pay it off or even manage it, for that matter. So anyway, when bond experts warn you that there can be a day of reckoning in the bond market, guess what? That money that was going to go into the bond market from the equities market is now looking for additional places to go. So anyway, there's a lot of money sloshing around looking for a home, and everybody's scared. Everybody is trying to figure out, where do you get the best returns? If it ain't going to be equities, if it ain't going to be bonds, and it definitely doesn't seem like it's not going to be real estate. I was just reading the other day that the Chinese, who have traditionally propped up United States real estate markets, residential and commercial, for years and years, they're pulling back. Okay, so when the Chinese aren't even buying U.S. real estate, now you got a problem, because they was like the only suckers in town still willing to purchase real estate in the United States at no matter what the price. They didn't care. Besides, a lot of Chinese just want to get their money out of China. China is so oppressive, where the monies that the citizens have, that you really didn't have a choice but to get your money out of there and invest it in U.S. real estate or something, just so you'll have it, as compared to having the government use your money and not pay you very much for it. So anyway, that's what's happening on those fronts with the real estate, the equities, and the stocks. And then, just as a side note, just to give you an idea, that this is not just a U.S. issue, this is a world economic issue. The big picture is the world economy is slowing down, and has slowed down to the point where even the the Middle Eastern people in Saudi Arabia. Even the Saudi Arabians are hurting. They had an initial public offering. I think it's called Aramco. Aramco was going to be the world's largest IPO. That deal was supposed to bring in monies and have everybody falling over each other to get that and be a part of that IPO in Saudi Arabia. But guess what? People have been shying away from putting money into that deal because when things slow down, now all of a sudden they started reevaluating whether or not they have enough money to also put into Aramco, that IPO. So now even the Saudis are like, we need money now. We need to borrow money. If we can't raise money through a stock offering, an IPO, now they're forced to borrow money. They're taking on debt in a situation where they were going to offer equity in this IPO. So anyway, things are getting to the point where they're just totally ridiculous. Not only on the national front in the United States, but even on the world economic scene. Things are like pathetic. And I'm going to try to include some information, hopefully, that talks about the real estate market. There's a certain amount of softness now in the real estate market, and I actually already posted a lot of that information yesterday or the day before about the softness in the real estate market. Certain markets, Silicon Valley, I can't remember, Silicon Valley and certain other hot markets were almost impervious to the latest sluggishness or softness in the real estate sector. But now I'm hearing even that Silicon Valley, San Francisco, whatever, those particular hot markets are starting to finally feel the heat as well. They're feeling the pain. Certain sellers, for instance, who had 10, 11, 12 bids on a single home, they can choose whichever one they want to go with, right? Because those sellers were in control. Now, certain sellers are saying, in this environment right now, we're not even getting 1 or 2 bids. We're not even getting anything close to what we want. So the sellers are pulling those homes off the market, and they're hanging on to them, and the buyers have just dried up. But you have to consider also that mortgage rates are climbing again, and a lot of people really are putting off that decision. So, and home builders, same thing. Home builders are like, you know what? We can't make very much money on the low end, so unless you're like a wealthy buyer, we're only building houses for you. So anyway, developers, Kaufman Broad, I can't remember, Pulte Homes, whatever. A lot of these builders are pulling back, and they're saying, look, if the demand is not there, why bother building? There's a lot of inventory out there on the market right now, and we need to hold back and slow down and evaluate the situation. Same thing that the buyers are doing. The buyers are saying, let's wait. If we're going to pay high interest rates or whatever right now, let's just wait and see what happens. So anyway, the demand is not there, even in the real estate sector. Just lots of sectors, unfortunately, don't look very good. So this all is to say that this stupid speech talking about GDP growth of 4%, and I really don't care what the numbers are. You guys really shouldn't care either, because if we're not experiencing the positive effects of significant growth like a 4.1%, then it doesn't matter. It could be 11.3% that they're talking about. It really doesn't matter because we're not feeling it, right? We're not seeing it. Let's see. There was something else I want to bring to you guys' attention as well. So yeah, just be careful in terms of whether or not you're going to be falling for the fake news. You guys need to make plans Oh yeah, the $1 trillion budget deficit. This idiot had the nerve to say something about he's saving us $50 billion. Now, you may want to get a calculator, or if you want to use common sense, that's fine too. That's a rarity, but if you want to use common sense, go right ahead. When you owe someone $22 trillion, and that's what we owe in the United States, we owe $22 trillion because we mismanage our money to the point where we can't even afford to pay the interest on the national debt. But when you owe that much money, and someone says, look, I just saved you $50 billion, you want to ask yourself, okay, at this rate, where we're saving $50 billion at a time, how long is it going to take to pay off the $22 trillion that we owe ultimately? That's what you got to pay back, the $22 trillion. Okay, so if this idiot thinks that he's convincing us that he's made a dent in the deficit, I don't think he has his head screwed on properly, mainly because that $50 billion is not going to make a dent. The interest alone is adding up too quickly. Sovereign debt, corporate debt, private pensions, public pensions, entitlement programs, all these things are an albatross on the neck of any business, government types that are trying to convince us that this is a minor issue. These aren't minor issues, they're major issues, okay? And they're not going to go away anytime soon. So, again, I just want to offer a little bit of rebuttal, okay? I don't mean to imply that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the solution for everything, but try to take a look at what this represents. When we talk about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, we're trying to talk about an alternate economic model based upon you guys saving, you guys investing, and then when you have something where you've saved or invested, you can go out. You have purchasing power. You have an asset that can go up in value, that has been going up in value. It's been the third or fourth best performing asset class 3 or 4 years running or something. So that says a lot, okay? So I'm not proposing that you try to take a short-term, get-rich-quick approach. I'm suggesting that you diversify 5 or 10% of your portfolios into Bitcoin and try to learn as much as possible why the current system is not working, because sometimes before you can understand what problems we're solving, you have to make sure you understand that there is indeed a problem to be solved. The problem is the Federal Reserve. The problem is quantitative easing. The problem is a debased currency called fiat dollar or dollars, which are fiat, and they're declining value. Close to 98% of the value is gone, etc., etc. So that's the problem. The solution is something that appreciates. The solution is something that has scarcity. 21 million is the only amount of Bitcoin that's going to be in existence. We don't give a shit about altcoins or shitcoins or any of that shit. We got the number one guy, Bitcoin, hard-coded into its code is something that limits its total number that's going to be issued to 21 million, and that's it. Okay, can't be taxed away from. You can't be confiscated. You can't have middlemen and intermediaries in between Bitcoin transactions. We don't have all of that. We don't need it. We don't want it. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up and just let you guys know that was the most stupid speech I've ever heard in a long, long time. And I'm going to publish some information about how even the Chinese have been pulling back out of the United States real estate markets. So between sluggish real estate sales, even without the Chinese, and now you throw on the idea that they're investing less, there's just a few things to be concerned about. So you may want to just keep your eyes and ears open, okay? And good luck out there, you guys. We'll talk later. Thank you. Bye.